Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of the Impact Zone. My name is Jeff, and alongside me, as always, is the Kushida to my killer, Kelly. What's going on, Max?
What's up, man? I like that comparison. I think Kushida and I look similar. Like we could be third or fourth cousins, maybe.
Yeah, you gotta check out that ancestry, my friend. But you can see Killer, you can see Killer Kelly and Kushida both there. Long day. We're gonna have fun with this, as well as the Briscoes. So we're gonna talk about that in just a moment. Before that, I have to get Max's opinion. We mentioned him last time, and then he debuted and had a match against Speedball Mike Bailey. Your thoughts on Alan Angels, really quick, and what you saw from him that you liked and his potential fit with Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, I thought he was really good in the ring. I think anytime you come in as your first match and you're immediately thrown in with a
Right.
champion, whether it's World Heavyweight, X Division, whatever, that's a lot of pressure. And when you're not a super big name, someone like Omega or Jay White, that's even more pressure because you have people who may not necessarily know who you are, may have heard about you. It's kind of like this is your chance to make an
Yeah.
impact. Blah, blah, and I thought he did well. I thought the match was really good. I thought he had potential.
Yeah.
I think he's someone that could add some depth into the X division if some things are moving around, if guys are becoming tag teams and stuff. If you need somebody, I think he would be someone that I would like to see added and see where they can go and how they can develop long term.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's one thing, is you have for your 450s, I have my frog splash, so I like that. I think the pressure thing is a great point to put out there because if this is one match, once again, we don't read spoilers. We don't know if
Yeah.
he's at this next one. From all intents and purposes, from the exit interviews and stuff, it looked like this was a one and done for now. But he's technically playing for a contract, and that doesn't mean just with Impact. This is his first outing on a television show since being I won't say let go, but the door open for him to leave in AEW. So I thought with that being said, and going against Speedball Mike Bailey, who is a machine, he had a great showing. Now, as far as the depth, I think when you look at the depth here, and you look at even the people who are fringe X Division guys, Laredo Kid, Black Taurus, Trey, who you didn't mention, there might be people moving to the tag, so that might come to play as well, especially with Ace and Bay doing their own thing as well. So I think it's gonna be it's what that extra is. It's not between the ropes. It's what that character is, and can he stick out amongst Black Taurus, Laredo Kid, Speedball Mike Bailey, and company.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I think that Laredo Kid and Black Truth obviously have pretty interesting, like pretty. They have good looks to them.
Right.
Just looking at him, like, oh wow. I mean, Mike Bailey, when he first came in, it was really in the ring stuff. It was just kind of
That's fair.
white dude who didn't wear shoes, Mike Bailey. And obviously, I think what hurts Alan Angels is the fact that I don't know what he did before AEW, so I don't know if he had a character.
Right.
But his character in AEW was the Dark Order.
Yeah.
And he can't be in the Dark Order anymore, so he needs something. So I do agree with that, but we'll see.
Yeah, and that's nothing that I'm sure could be taken care. I mean, sure it could be taken care
Yeah.
of rather simply, especially with Impact Creative. It's just a matter of right now, and you're great at saying it all the time. Is you need not 5-tool players per se, but people that hit all of those notes when you're bringing
Yeah.
someone in Impact, because that's the sign that we think they need.
Maybe he can be the start of the group Elite No More. And you know what? Honor No More, Elite No More. It would just be
Stu Grayson, him, Big
yeah.
Swole, Marco Stein would be a great one, great team. So let's let's get back to those comparisons. I mentioned Kushida, so let's stick with Kushida. Obviously he's veteran status. He's not coming in for to win the World Heavyweight Championship or World Championship, whatever it's called. But there's obviously a real glaring spot for him here with Alex Shelley already being here. We see Alex Shelley versus Chris Sabin being a match the same time that he debuts. Is the writing on the wall? Is that where they're going with him? It's all speculation, obviously. And is that where
Yeah.
you would go with him, though?
So I was pulling him up. I wanted to see how old he was. He's 39. So I think what we're probably going to end up seeing is something similar to either Finjuice or with Jay White, where he's over here for a program or two.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me if they potentially have him go against Mike Bailey just because of his name. He's a big name.
Right.
And that would be kind of something interesting. But I do think that putting him with Alex Shelley is a smart move. One, it frees up Chris Sabin to do something else.
Right.
And two, it kind of gives you a fresh look on a tag team with two big name guys. This isn't, Marco Stunt and me out there coming in and forming a tag team to go after the titles. These are two big name guys who have teamed together before, so it's not just two random dudes thrown together.
Yeah.
And it immediately could give you a new tag team and a legitimate tag team to go against the Good Brothers. So I think that would be a really good spot for him, long-term wise, or wow, he's here. But I do think it'll be a program. I think he's going to go back to New Japan.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. I don't see this being a long-term signing. I think it's similar to what we'll probably see with Alex Shelley, which is, a veteran that comes in, or James Storm maybe is the more relevant one right now, comes in, does a couple programs, and as you said, parts on good terms, and the door's open for the next program or two down the road. So I could see that position with him. I think the Time Splitters makes a lot of sense. As you said, one, it gives Chris Sabin, not that him over Shelley by any means, it's just that obviously the fit here is easy with Kushida and Shelley, so it lets Sabin the opportunity to go after maybe something with Josh, who, for what we can see right now, because there's 5 weeks to Emergent, there's 2 months to Bound for Glory, if not, I think more technically with days. So there's a lot of time before, the anticipated big match at Bound for Glory, or what's perceived as that. So he's going to need some opponents. and we always say that's the little bit of the, free agency thing. We want some big names, but we think we have to build them up here. So a Sabin, a Swan, for instance, as we see the DMC there, and him not going after that afterwards. So I think that's maybe the route, and it makes a lot of sense for Kushida. Either way, it's really cool, and it gives the Good Brothers, or whoever the tag team champions are at the time, something to do, something different. Let's move on to Killer Kelly. Speaking of long-term, short-term, she's been with Impact. It's been revealed for 2020. One reason or another, it just didn't come to fruition, be it visa or mental health or whatever she stated. Pretty cool of her. There's some really cool interviews out there with her about it. But look, man, speaking of people moving to tag team and whatever, we could see Deonna and Chelsea moving obviously to the Knockouts tag. They're making that apparent. Mia obviously sticking within the Knockouts as she's the number one contender. Slamovich kind of beating up people from the bottom up, more or less. Killer Kelly coming in, perfect time for her to come in. What a dope ass package too, to set her up as a just a badass, I guess. You see her going right for the singles, right? That makes the most sense.
I think that's what makes the most sense. I know she's done tag team wrestling in the past,
right.
So I think if you need something, she could possibly do that. But I feel like name-wise, I feel like the singles is where she is, especially if you're going to be losing Deonna and Chelsea to the tag team. It makes sense to put her in there. I really think Impact's missing an opportunity, though, to say that for the last 2 years she's been wrestling on Impact Dark and Elevation, and she's 157-0. And she's coming in with this undefeated record. You may not have seen her, but look at all these. Worked for Scorpio Sky, man. No one knew who he
my God.
Came out of here out of nowhere with a 100-0 record. Hadn't lost in 3 years. And I'm telling you, it works.
I think I think that the singles route makes the most sense. I just think that if in the glaring hole is that Deonna and Green, obviously I'm looking at our positions there, our depth charts there, that are ever changing, obviously. But Deonna and Green are moving over that tag. So there is opportunity for some up-and-comers to challenge Jordynne Grace on the way to Bound for Glory, which we hope is her versus Masha. Could be other things. But I think that if Lady Frost comes back in the fold, by the way, I don't know where we're at with that. Blue hair, red hair. I don't know. It might be something cool there, man.
Fire and Ice.
Fire and Ice, man. Always got to plug over the cheesy 90s things. But
the problem is Tasha Steelz was the flavor. But if you add Kira Hogan back in, you can do Kira Hogan and Lady Frost, because then they're
Fire
Fire
and
and Ice.
Ice.
She was the fire. So
Just
and
for the
really
name.
just for the name, yeah.
Savannah.
Or maybe Flava Ice. I think that's
Oh
actually
my god.
copyrighted. But you know,
Moving on. The rails have come off. You could tell episode 100 of the other show's coming up. We don't give any. It's 2 years in the game. No. Let's keep it going. There is obviously, so we're talking about positive, laughing, joking. We do got to talk about the Briscoes and the potential of them leaving there. I'll let you your opinion. Obviously, I have no firsthand knowledge of watching the promos, watching the video packages, watching any hype regarding them with ROH or AEW. So I'm gonna leave you that and kind of give me a description of that. But at the same time, they were advertised for the next for Impact as well. So is that kind of answer our question from the get? I'll let you speak to that. First, starting with the AEW stuff.
yeah. I mean, it really wasn't much hype. It was the Cock Hard Smash and Dash Hard Knock or whatever their names are. FTR.
Do you watch the show?
I do, but I can't remember who those guys' names are. It's Bald and Hair is who they are. Because their names just sound so like 80s porno names to me that that's all. Like anytime someone's like they're on, I'm just like, man, like that dude. That's what goes through my head.
Fair.
But FTR was there. They basically cut a promo saying that they wanted to challenge the Briscoes to a match at Death Before Dishonor. And then apparently the Briscoes responded. I don't know if it was on Twitter or not, but they responded they do accept the match.
Okay.
Now, my thing is this. Is it possible that this leads to the Briscoes going to ROH permanently? Yeah, it could. But at the same time, if I had to put any amount of money that mattered to me,
Yeah.
I'm putting my money on FTR. They're the IWGP Tag Team Champions, the ROH Tag Team Champions, AAA Champions.
Props.
Yeah, they're amazing. I highly doubt they are dropping the ROH tag belts before they beat the Young Bucks for the AEW belts. So,
Okay.
and to me, if they beat the Briscoes twice in a row, back to back, it kind of kills any type of excitement for me, at least for a little while, of a third match between them.
Maybe that's the point.
But that's insane. So what are the Briscoes going to do on ROH if like they're a tag team, like their goal is to go for that title?
Right.
They would immediately, if you're going to start a new show and you have the Briscoes, outside of AEW talent who's going to cross over, they would be the biggest names on your television show. And if they aren't tag team champions and they've lost twice before, it kind of dulls it. So I kind of do feel like this is hey, FTR wins again, and now we don't have to immediately sign them because there's no push for a third match between them. Even though wrestling's a little bit different than like boxing or MMA, but it's so.
So let's bring up the normal questions here when it comes to them. Obviously, the Warner Media thing's something, right? And I just want to dig in this a little bit. And so you're saying it wasn't really just besides, hey, we accept the match, cool, we're going to have a match at ROH, no big hype for them coming in. So you would have to assume that this is an ROH thing, which technically is just a pay-per-view company right now. It's an NWA TNA.
Correct.
Okay. So there's no set firm date. There's no plan right now. Could there be? Yes. I believe this one's on some Bleacher Report. This one is being brought to you by Bleacher.
Let me look. I think that's where all AEW's pay-per-views are.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's all on the Bleacher Report app. I'm looking real quick. Yes, the Bleacher Report app. Okay. It's all their.
So once again, not a more just a subsidiary.
Correct.
Or not even a subsidiary. So yeah, I'm the wall for them to leave. I think this opens the door for them to have communications there for if the time and that they will ponder it. But for me, once again, I just think them showing up at the tapings as well, them doing the Ric Flair thing, I think it's just freelance. I agree with you with the booking thing. For me, I didn't even see any of the matches, so maybe I'll give it a chance. I don't know. But they are synonymous with ROH. But if they're going to go into a new era there, if that's the plan, I don't know if... I don't know. It's hard, man. One from one perspective for ROH people, how don't you have the Briscoes? But at the same time, for the Briscoes, it no one in that house besides the occasional guy they're going to throw from AEW will be the same. There's no one in that ROH. You know.
No, I agree. Like I put up the match card. It's on July 23rd.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it's AEW guys. It's Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, FTR. It's Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood. I was super close, by the way, with the made up names I chose. The Briscoes. The Briscoes are ROH through and
Yeah.
through. Obviously Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal with Sanjay Dutt. Jay Lethal, although in AEW, I'll call him ROH. Mercedes Martinez, Serena D, both AEW people. Jonathan Gresham versus to be announced. He's an ROH person. And then Young Guns, Matt Sydal, Lee Moriarty versus Gates of Agony, AEW people.
Yeah,
You got.
but they all had a cup of tea at least. And
Oh, I know that, but I'm talking about like these are. But I'm talking about people who, like, it's not like they were in ROH and then ROH folded and then they were signed by AEW. These are guys who were in AEW before ROH folded. Is what I'm talking about.
okay.
So there's three guys who I would say were ROH at the time that it went away. It's the rest of it is it's an AEW card, and I think you're right. I think right now it's just going to be a pay-per-view company. They'll bring people in. Obviously, the Briscoes are willing to work multiple different places,
Sure.
so there's no negative for them to say, "Hey, let's go on, put on a great match, get paid, and then we can go other places." So I don't think this is the Briscoes are leaving. Does diminish my thought that it was going to be a singles run for Jay.
Yeah. Well.
Kind of kills that if Mark's, but then again, maybe Mark's just wrestling this. Who knows?
Right.
We'll see. But yeah, I think the Briscoes are still have a potential of being an Impact for a long time. They aren't. I don't think this is a long-term contract thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a for this pay-per-view, and that's it. And then they'll see where they go.
Well, I think you see stuff like this and the alarm bell sounds for a lot of people, and I could get that, because on the flip side, you look at the tag division. We just talked about the time splitters, maybe joining there. We always, especially with Trey being banged up, could use in a helping hand. So maybe the Rascals get back together in some form. Then you got the Good Brothers who maybe are staying or not, and that's the question I have. Our buddy Chris Delita actually tweeted us right before we got on. And he was talking about, I guess people are worried about the Good Brothers leaving. They are the tag team champions. Obviously their own promotion is featured on Impact Wrestling Twitter, literally right before I checked, before we got on here. I don't think, and we obviously have no inside knowledge, but I think that they are too intertwined for us to even be scared of them permanently leaving Impact. Your thoughts?
I agree completely. I don't think Impact would have put the titles back on them if they were like, "Hey guys, we want to leave and never come back." It wouldn't surprise me if you see them sign with New Japan.
Yeah.
But even if they do that, I think they're going to work Impact. They chose to make 4 people who are in Impact now members of Bullet Club.
Right.
And if you don't want to be a part of Impact, if you're like, guys, I'm literally counting the days until my contract is up, and then I want to go sign with New Japan, AEW, back with WWE, whatever, and never come to Impact ever again, don't you think that you would probably tell the people in New Japan, hey, we probably shouldn't make Chris Bay a member of Bullet Club.
Right.
Hey, you guys. Now, granted, I don't know how much pull they have, but I'm pretty sure if these guys were like, hey, Impact is ass, I hate this place.
Right.
New Japan wouldn't be like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and make 2 members of Impact, members of Bullet. They just were like, okay, cool. That's no one in MLW is a member of Bullet Club, so there's clearly enough of a working relationship there that New Japan felt the need to do that or wanted to do that. And the Good Brothers, from anything I've heard, they've been nothing but complimentary of Impact and want to do stuff outside of cutting heel promos in New Japan.
Right.
Like that, outside of being in character, they do too much with Impact. They've done it's a place that's treated them well, and I don't think they're people, especially guys who didn't seem happy with the way they were treated in WWE.
Yeah.
I don't think Impact would treat them well, and they would spit in the face of Impact.
That's fair. And I think the missing piece of that, I think that's one great point. I think when you're them who have played around in WWE, you have played around in, well, I mean, played around long. They were in WWE a little bit longer than that, but they had a cup of tea in AEW. They've been to New Japan, obviously, extensively. They've been around the world. They could kind of pick and choose and say, hey, we've had an experience with everyone. We know what we actually want in life. Yeah. So I not necessarily that's Impact, but at the same time, they've been everywhere else. So let them, if they'll choose where they want to be. I just think they're too intertwined. But it had to be asked. Obviously something on the back of the minds. They haven't announced that they have re-signed. I don't know if they have. It's fun for them to keep the. Maybe they don't have no intentions to, and they are going to choose to do some dates in New Japan, and then we kind of get the other dates. We'll see. But
New Japan Strong is introducing a tag team championship as well. Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me. They have the Dark Orders in it. There are no Impact people. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if you see them go over and do that and get a run. So.
I think anything's possible, but I just think their feet are planted. We'll see, though. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Speaking of that, we're going to put the anything can happen aside. We're going to say that Sasha, Naomi, the rumors or whatever coming out is that they are clear off the internal roster for internal roster of WWE.
WWE.
Right. So if they're on the internal roster for WWE, that means we're going to say they're gone. If they're off, excuse me.
It is reported, and I'm checking now, that you can no longer select Sasha Banks' picture as your profile picture on Peacock. They have apparently removed it from the list of things.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, I mean, hey, that's
it is. Once again,
that's pretty big. I'm checking. I'll let you know. You got Roman Reigns.
Well, from the get, I've always said that those are things, especially with the shop Impact thing. You could take things down like that without canning somebody, either for storyline purposes or for, hey, we don't know what we're doing with this person yet, i.e. a Michael Elgin, who was still, those things we've mentioned before, so it's possible. But let's play fantasy here. Let's look at the top 25 that we've still yet to officially update, and we're going to play without putting, you put away character development, all the grades that we would do, and we're just going to go off.
We're just going to put where we think they could be.
Correct.
Just our general.
So let's look at that in kind of where do you see them? Do you want to move Paige up? I think that's a 3 for as well. I think because that's that's 3 people who are about to be or are big name free agents. I mean, that's no way other to put it. We were thought, besides for Wyndham, that we're kind of on the, game changers were gone, but this obviously opens up a big window.
No, I definitely agree with that. I can confirm you cannot select your picture. I don't know if you ever could. My picture is the Minions, but who knows? Unless they put AJ up there, I'm not changing. But in terms of where they would rank in the top 25, I think Sasha Banks, I think there's real potential. She's 1 or 2.
I'm comfortable doing 2. And, well, I don't know. They both have aspirations, her and Wyndham, for doing stuff outside. How invested are they in? They get the question you could do there. As far as talent, I guess it would just, they're already a character. They're already a thing.
2 words, maybe 1 word. I'm not sure how he spells it. Snoop Dogg. She brings Snoop Dogg with her. So if you can you imagine
in the treehouse?
Snoop Dogg doing? Yeah, man. Snoop Dogg with Trey in the tree, like that would.
All right, sold.
Burn down the treehouse.
All right, let's put Sasha Banks there at number 1.
But I'm just saying. But outside of that, if I'm being real, character-wise, name recognition, in ring, like she really does have the complete package of what she is.
Yeah.
So
So let's quickly place Naomi, because once again she's not she's not chopped liver by any means either. Once again, they don't have to come together somewhere
correct.
for both of them separately to be big signings. That doesn't mean just an impact, but you sign both of them to AEW, both big signings. It is what it is.
Yes, I agree. She could be. I do not feel they are attached at the hip like the Iconics were.
Right. So Naomi, where do you think in? Because it's hard, because I don't think she places in the same realm as Sasha and Wyndham.
I agree.
But I think she has a following. I think she's the human being she is, the quality wrestler she is. I think she's a total package. Do you place her third? Is that a... And where would you move Paige if that's the case? Depending if she can wrestle, I think that's our hindrance here for raising her. But
yeah, that's my issue with Paige is, can she wrestle? If she can, I think she's up there, third or fourth. Naomi, I agree with you. She has a following. Yeah. Her real name is Trinity Fatu, and obviously that last name carries tons of weight in wrestling.
Sure.
Her finishing move, she calls it the rear view. I think that's how
are you just naming Matt facts? What do you?
I mean, no, but that's every time she did it, that's how they said it. She calls it like not just her finishing move, like she calls we refuse to acknowledge it, but she calls it this. But no, I think she's a good character. She's up good personality. I would possibly, yes. I think 3. I think she carries more name value than EC3. Yeah. EC3 unfortunately suffers from a situation where he's been gone for so long that we may need to move him down.
That is the point that I look at this and say, and it's like, how do you put some of these people on, and obviously we have 5 tools of how we grade these, and we'll update this very soon. Once we I think there's going to be some more free agency out there that needs to be settled first.
Yeah, I think we need to go back and readjust some of these people as time goes on.
But that's the key, is that time does do, some things here. Value does change. Bray Wyatt, or excuse me, not Bray Wyatt, but he's on there too. But Braun Strowman, right when he left, is different than Braun Strowman today.
A year and a half later,
Correct.
yeah. Killer Cross now has hair. Super weird looking, by the way.
He had it prior.
I never saw it. I kind of think it impacts his character a little bit. I like bald Killer Cross better.
We'll let him know. We'll let him know here. So, yeah, I think there's, man, I don't know.
Just like Weston Blake. Weston Blake, I think, is amazing, but he really does better with a Buddy Matthews, and they are Weston and
he needs something, man. Macklin and him should have been a thing, but
that would have been great. I think if they're together, that would be awesome. But you kind of wonder, as things, Johnny Everything, as he's eating L's like the Brooklyn Brawler, I think he drops a little bit.
Yeah, because some of the key to this is buzz, and I think that's something we have a tough time. When people ask, well, why is this person above this person? Well, obviously we can explain to you the in ring, the work, all that other stuff, the character development, the name value, all that stuff. At the same time really does change things, and some dust does gather on top of the toys on the shelf. And so
I mean, it's like we talk. I think Paige is a perfect example of that. If she can wrestle, that's huge. But it's been so long since you've seen her. Where is she? And I think that's something that has to be taken into account. Is the longer people stay away, I don't know if I want to call it name recognition. But that may be it, drops a little bit, and that does hurt you. And if you're in a case like Bray Wyatt, where you're such a good character, you can hold on to that top spot. But if you're someone whose character, I mean, I like EC3 as a character, but he doesn't have that same thing.
We're in a world where the attention span is small. And unfortunately, what was new yesterday is no longer new today. So no matter even if you're the hottest shit coming out of free agency or into free agency, sometimes time it just is what it is. So that does come into play, and that's something we gotta talk about. But we are at our 30-minute mark. We have if those attention spans have lasted, you've watched all to this. We appreciate it, guys. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. If you're watching us now at 9:15, continue to do so. But next week for episode 100, we'll say it right here, we'll be together again for the 100th episode of the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast with some cool announcements and hopefully some reworking. We're working towards it. September is going to be a relaunch for us in a lot of things. But we thank you for sticking with us and rocking with us, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe. Max, send us off.
I'm excited. I think I talked myself into that Snoop Dogg thing. That's really what I want to say is Snoop Dogg in the treehouse. Right. So I'm going to push that going forward on our 100th episode. See if maybe I can retweet him and see if we can get him to talk her into coming to Impact.
Hashtag Snoop in the treehouse.
There you go.
See you later. Bye.